Hello, I'm Anthony Cherokee, and this is episode 1 of the Studio Prep video series titled, Why Are You Even Making Music? I'm going to start with a question that might feel a little uncomfortable. It's kind of deep, but I think it's a good place to start, and that is, why are you even making music? And I don't mean, because I want gigs or because I want to hear my song on the radio or I'd love to go on tour someday. Those are all outcomes, but I'm talking about the real reason why you're really doing this. And what I'm really asking is, why do you do this at all? Because there's something I've noticed people, once they get started in music, they may take breaks at various times. They get busy, they get discouraged, or life just happens. But once it's in you, you don't really quit. You come back. And why is that? It kind of becomes part of your person. So for some people, it's expression. Music is how they process their life. It's how you might deal with heartbreak or confusion, hope or anger. It's how you make sense of things that don't make sense. For other people, if we're being honest, there's also validation in the mix. People want to be taken seriously. You've put years into this, late nights writing lyrics, spent a lot of money on gear, dealt with self-doubt, starting songs and then abandoning them, finishing songs and then wondering, is this terrible? Is this good or bad? At some point, you want evidence that it all meant something. You want somebody to hear it and say, that's real, that's really good, I get it. And for a lot of artists, music isn't just something you do. It becomes part of your identity. It's a mirror. And when people respond to you and your music, it feels like confirmation that you actually matter, that your voice matters. You're not just some dreamer playing around in your bedroom. And that's not shallow, that's human. And, there's also this tension between career and calling. Some people feel called to create, even if nobody paid them, even if nobody clapped. But at the same time, you might want this to be more than a hobby. You might want bigger opportunities, better stages, a real audience. And there's nothing wrong with that either. The real key is to understand which one is driving you, because if you don't know why you're making music, the studio can become a very confusing and intimidating place. If you're doing it purely for validation, every piece of feedback starts to feel like a threat. And if you're doing it purely as a hobby, you might not be ready to invest at a professional level, and you might not take that feedback seriously. Or if you're trying to build a career, then the approach is different. It's not just about creating, it's about finishing, branding, consistency, building momentum. And again, that's just a different strategy. But we're still trying to get to the deeper question. Why are you doing this? There's a concept sometimes called the 5 whys that came out of Japanese manufacturing, where when you try to understand something, you basically just keep asking why. And the idea is by the 5th question, you should get to the real answer. And you can try this on your own. You can evaluate your own motivations by doing this. So you might say something like, I want to record my music. And the first why would be, why would you want to record your music? Because I want people to hear it. Well, why do you want people to hear it? Because I want to build a fan base. Well, why do you want to build a fan base? Because I want to be taken seriously. And why do you want to be taken seriously? Because I've invested so much of myself into this. And why have you invested so much into this? Because this is who I am. And that last answer is usually the real one. It's about identity. It's about belonging, legacy, and meaning. You don't just want to be heard. You want to actually leave a mark. You want to be remembered. In a chaotic world where most things disappear quickly, a song feels permanent. Music can be immortal. And it feels like proof that you were actually here. And once you're clear on that, everything else starts to make sense. The studio isn't just a place to capture sound. It becomes a place where you decide how seriously you're going to take that part of yourself. If it's just casual fun, that's great. Own that. If it's a calling, own that too. Or if you want to compete at a higher level, own that. Just be honest with yourself about why you're doing this. Because once you know why you're making music, decisions about money, about preparation, collaboration, even self-doubt become much easier to navigate. So before we get into the later video sessions and maybe talk about gear and producers, AI, and all that practical stuff, just sit with that question for a little bit. Why are you even making music? Not the surface answer. Dig in and find the real one so that you understand yourself and why you're there. And everything else that we talk about in this series is going to build on that. And once you feel that you pretty much got a handle on that, feel free to move on to the next video. I'll talk to you soon. Thanks. Hey, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to check out episode 2 of the Studio Prep video series titled The Self-Doubt Spiral and Why It's Normal. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you never miss an episode.